They say a camera never blinks. What you're about to see were recorded by ordinary people. Cameras on phones, helmet cams, dash cams, and shaky handhelds. And each clip raises the same impossible question. What did those lenses actually catch? These are terrifying moments caught on camera that will stay with you long after the screen goes dark. A quick note before we begin. Every clip here is presented as uploaded or reported, raw footage, eyewitness testimony, and local records. Some elements are verified, others remain unresolved. I won't tell you what to believe. You decide. If you love unexplained footage, hit subscribe for more. The Hood House sits back from the road, weathered clapboard in a tangle of trees. Built in 1887, it carries the kind of ware that stores secrets. Noah, a former resident, says he moved in hoping to fix it up, not expecting the house would fix him instead. The first clip is simple. A handheld phone aimed at a stairwell. You can feel how quiet the house is, the kind of held breath you get at midnight. Footsteps approach, then a steady, patient tapping beneath the bottom stair. It starts as a rhythm, a finger on wood. Noah says he had heard the sound for weeks, but that night the tapping had a pattern. It kept returning on dates close to October, which, local records show, is the month connected to Mary Hood's death in the family history. Listen to the way the tapping climbs the scale. It moves from below the stairs to the wall beside the sitting room. Someone off-camera whispers, "Do you hear that?" It's small, domestic, not dramatic. That is what makes it creep inside you. The ordinary turned wrong. Noah and friends pressed on. They tried to follow the noise through the walls. They recorded a low murmur that one visitor described as a voice, but couldn't make out words. On another night, a neighbor heard frantic knocks from the porch at about 3 in the morning. Noah says he opened the door and saw smoke curling from the roofline. The porch went up in flames within minutes. Local reports confirmed the house was later destroyed by fire. The fire chief told a local paper that the origin was undetermined. Neighbors remembered the tapping. The fire investigators found no immediate cause that tied to a malfunctioning heater or wiring, and the timeline left more questions than answers. Was it coincidence? A faulty electrical line that finally gave out? A careless cigarette? Or something tied to the repeated tapping, to the small pattern of dates, to a family history that included a fall and a death? Witnesses offer possibilities. But the footage, the quiet tapping, the porch flames reflected in the dark, refuses to be explained away neatly. And as Noah put it quietly on camera, it felt like the house had been keeping time on that stair for a long time. But that was just the beginning. Craigie's clip begins in daylight, but it leaves an aftertaste you remember at night. He was finishing a renovation on an empty house. The camera is clean, fixed on a hallway where sheetrock meets old paint. His daughter, a small blur of curiosity, wanders ahead. Then, in a narrow sliver of frame, something moves behind a partition. A tiny hand, pale and deliberate, slides into view and reaches toward the child. You can see the girl offer an object, a crumb of a toy, a piece of cloth, and her tiny, genuine smile. Craigie panned and rushed into the room. The camera catches the quick scan of eyes and the empty nook behind the drywall. He checked the whole house, the attic, every closet. He says he found no one. Later, when he reviewed photos his daughter had taken that day, an old portrait appeared on the camera roll. The face of his wife's grandmother, who had died years before. Some viewers called it a staged trick. Others argued for a squatter hiding in the renovation spaces. A growing chorus online suggested AI or a clever edit. Craigie insists he'd never seen that photograph before and that the hand in the clip was not his daughter's. He posted his follow-ups. The house had no recent occupants, the locks were new, and there were no signs of forced entry. That leaves the footage alone in the dark with its questions. A child sharing space with something unseen, a portrait that shouldn't be there. A father who looked at the footage and found himself unsettled in ways he couldn't name. So what are the options? Misleading angles and shadows, a hidden person taking the shot, a glitch of image stacking. Or, some argue, a lingering presence that finds its way into the edges of family life. You decide. Eric's footage takes place over weeks, a slow bleed of disturbances that crescendo into something more aggressive. He uploaded dozens of short clips, an object vanishing off a table, a child's small hand appearing at a window from the outside in the dark. A faint face glimpsed through condensation and glass that dissolves as the camera swings toward it. The pattern is what terrifies. Items would misplace themselves in the morning. Dog bowls were shoved aside. Eric's family reported bangs on the bedroom door at night, rhythmic, like someone testing whether someone inside was paying attention. Once, a clip shows the camera trembling as a heavy thud sounds from downstairs. A canine whine, footsteps that don't belong to the people in the house. Eric's voice, low and urgent, tells the camera he slept on the couch after that night. He says the interruptions followed him. When he would leave the house, the disturbances eased, only to pick up again when he returned. Some commenters suggested pranksters or a targeted harassment campaign. Others pointed to psychological stress manifesting in behavior and memory. Eric pleaded on camera. "I don't want to be the guy who cries wolf, but this is real for me." The footage doesn't prove intent or malevolence. It simply shows a household under siege by irregular, escalating occurrences that several witnesses witnessed and recorded. The sense of someone, or something, following, testing, pressing at boundaries is what turns each clip from oddity into threat. It raises another question. When the phenomenon seems to chase a person, do we look for a human explanation first, or is there a pattern that suggests something else? Whatever the answer, Eric's videos are a dizzying catalogue of escalation, and watching them you feel that tight knot of protective fear anyone would feel, watching their home erode around them. Urban exploration frequently flirts with danger in more mundane forms. Rotten floors, rusty nails, squatters. Christian, who runs the Herbex Hill channel, went into a decaying school with a small crew of friends. The building's bones were sound enough to explore, with peeling paint and an auditorium like a cavern. Christian narrates the history briefly. Built in the 1920s, abandoned in 2011, decades of neglect and rumor folded into its halls. The camera captures a shadow at the end of a corridor. Not a trick of light, but a shape that moves with purpose, crossing a doorway and vanishing into a classroom. Seconds later, Christian finds a sheet covering what looks like a hole in the floor. The kind of improvised cover people use when they want to hide a drop. As he lifts the sheet, a scream rips through the air. It's not a practiced scream. It's primal, high, and close. Christian drops the camera and flees. Afterwards, the team speculated in the car. Some suggested a homeless person had been startled and yelled, a reasonable claim given the area's history. Others pointed out timing and tone. The scream came from inside the very room the dark shape disappeared into. Christian later posted a short clip of the empty hall, the camera holding on where the figure entered, and a thin, lingering audio that some viewers compared to a human voice stretched and distorted. You watch and wonder which is scarier. The thought of a person living in those ruins, startled and vengeful, or the idea of a presence that musters a scream without a throat. Both possibilities are human in their own chilling ways. And in cramped, abandoned places, human fear and possible threat are often as real as the rumor of ghosts walking the corridors. Zach and Brandon took lanterns into a tunnel at Shanks Ferry, a place locals warn children not to pass near. The footage here is almost all sound. You get the damp slap of water in boots, the hiss of breath, the scrape of a pack against stone. Then, something that isn't the two of them. Heavy, wet footsteps echoing from deeper in the tunnel, moving with a confidence that says whatever makes them knows the space intimately. Then the sound changes. A long, drawn-out howl, not like a dog, not like a human yell. It's low at first, then stretches into a wail-like wail that presses against the chest and vibrates the teeth. The recording captures the instant of a decision. One of them whispers, "Nope," and they run. The camera jerks, lantern light jerks, and their retreat is a rush of scratchy breath and curse-laced panic. Audio-based evidence is slippery. Tunnels make sound strange. Wind, crumbling metal, even animals can produce unnerving noises. But this howl is different. It occupies a register that feels wrong for natural cave calls in that region. And when two adults flee, camera in hand, because of sound alone, it changes the nature of the evidence. Not a trick of light, but a primal response to a sound that makes the body unsafe. Rodriguez's upload is short and blunt. The group had been driving along a back road and spotted the sign for an abandoned laboratory, a squat concrete building half reclaimed by vines. They stopped the car, climbed a fence, and filmed from the lot because they didn't want to go inside. The first unsettling detail is doors that don't quite obey the rules. The main service doors appear to open and close without anyone touching them. On the clip, a gust of night air is possible, but the movement is measured, almost deliberative, and it happens in a way that doesn't match the wind pattern. Then the camera catches what everyone remembers most, a motionless, dark figure standing just beyond the glass of a laboratory lab window. It doesn't move. It looks like the absence of light in the shape of a human. The group backs away quietly. Someone whispers, "Is that a person?" No answer. The doors continue to sway, and from behind, a clatter that could be a loose shutter or something with weight. Rodriguez says he felt watched, and they left immediately. History of the site is thin. No official reports of deaths are easy to find, though locals told story fragments of chemical experiments and a manager who left under strange circumstances years ago. That alone doesn't prove anything. But the footage, the doors, the figure, is unnerving because it looks intentional. If there was a person inside, why stand perfectly still? Let the camera point at you and do nothing. If there wasn't, what accounts for a shape that occupies a human silhouette in a corner of glass? Across these cases there are recurring motifs. Hands that shouldn't be there, knocks that follow a calendar, faces at the window that disappear when we look full on, long, vowel-less sounds that press at the base of hearing. Times cluster, an agitated hour around 3 a.m., and a recurring tie to October in one house. The cameras record what people feel first, a sense of being observed, tested, pushed. But the footage never forces an explanation. It offers strange evidence and the human stories attached. At every turn, plausible alternatives exist. Squatters and pranksters can stage a hand pushing into frame. Faulty wiring can cause fires where smoke belies the source. Acoustics and animals can create howls and footsteps that trick the ear. Mental health, stress, and perception play huge roles in how events are interpreted and remembered. I raise these possibilities not to diminish witnesses, but to honor the complexity of reality. The unknown is complicated. Sometimes 2 or 3 human causes overlap with something else, and nobody leaves with a neat answer. There are also ethical lines to keep in mind. Exploring abandoned properties can be dangerous. If you watch these clips and feel the pull to find your own footage, consider the risk to your safety and to others. Trespass and climbing into derelict structures puts you in real harm's way. The experiences you watch were lived by people who, in many cases, had to make abrupt choices to protect themselves. When a house burned or a door began moving inexplicably, quick retreat saved lives. Don't attempt to recreate these moments. So what's the final tally? Evidence that proves a supernatural cause? No. Footage of things that ripple the ordinary into something unexplainable? Absolutely. These clips share an intimacy. Most were shot by family, by friends, by explorers whose first impulse was to record what terrified them. That makes them hard to dismiss and harder to categorize. Which clip deserves the most suspicion? Which clip do you find most convincing? And which one unsettles you the most? Is it the patient tapping beneath the Hood House staircase that later coincided with a blaze? The tiny hand behind drywall reaching for a child? The figure that followed Eric from house to house? The scream in the abandoned school? The howl echoing through Shanks Ferry Tunnel? Or the motionless silhouette watching from a lab window? Tell me which one got under your skin. Comment below with your theory, and be specific. Where do you think the footage might be explained by human action? And where do you think we cross into something the camera recorded, but our words cannot name? If you found this compilation compelling, like and share it with someone who stays up thinking about the dark. The cameras left us these frames. A knock, an outstretched hand, a face that refuses to resolve, a howl that lingers in the chest. They are pieces of evidence and pieces of a story that never fully closes. Whatever you think, coincidence, hoax, misread physics, or something else entirely, these are the moments that will haunt you. The lenses kept rolling. The question remains, what walked into frame that night? And what will step into yours?